Ladies and gentlemen, you ever wake up some mornings and already feel like the weight of the day is waiting by your bedside, like life didn't even have the courtesy to let you stretch before handing you your daily dose of disappointment, irritation, or just plain heaviness? You check your phone and it's a text that shakes your peace. You open your inbox and it's a reminder that you're still behind. You walk into work and someone's energy drains you before you've even had your coffee. Let me tell you something, this world is always going to give you something to be bothered by. It's always going to give you something to fight, to fix, to fuss over, but baby, you don't have to pick up everything it throws at you. Sometimes the greatest power you have is not in what you react to, but in what you refuse to let disturb your spirit. See, I'm not saying you won't feel it. I'm not asking you to pretend you're not human. Feelings are real, the frustration is real, the pain, the betrayal, the insecurity, it's all real, but maturity, that spiritual maturity, that next level of your growth, it doesn't come from not feeling. It comes from knowing how to carry what you feel without letting it control how you move. You've got to learn to walk into the room and not let the room walk into you. You've got to learn to keep your peace, even when the storm is raging right outside your front door. You've got to sit at the table with people who once tried to break you, and still eat with grace, smile with poise, and act as if nothing ever disturbed your peace. Now, don't misunderstand. Acting like nothing bothers you is not about being fake. It's not about denying your truth. It's about mastering your response. It's about being so rooted in who you are, who God says you are, that nothing the enemy throws your way can shake your identity. It's about knowing that you are still the daughter of the King, even when they don't see your worth. It's about walking with your head high, not because you're arrogant, but because you know who holds your crown. When you act like nothing bothers you, you start reclaiming your power from all the little foxes that try to spoil your vine. You stop handing over your energy to things that don't deserve your attention. You stop allowing temporary circumstances to dictate permanent attitudes, because truth be told, some of us have been giving too many people too much access to our peace. We've been letting petty steal our joy. We've been letting minor offend us majorly, and I get it. I know what it's like to be sensitive, to love hard, to care deeply, to want to be seen, understood, validated. But at some point, you've got to realize that not everybody's going to clap when you grow. Not everybody's going to understand your calling. Not everybody's going to treat you right, and that's okay, because your power is not in them treating you right. Your power is in you not changing who you are just because they didn't treat you right. There is a version of you waiting on the other side of emotional discipline. A version of you that knows how to pray before reacting, that knows how to speak life even when surrounded by death, that knows how to pause and protect your peace instead of jumping into battles that were never yours to fight. You've been allowing situations to pull you out of character. You've been letting words trigger you into cycles. But now is the season where you learn to smile in the face of shade, to show up full even when they tried to empty you, to walk past what was meant to break you like it never had the power to, and not because you're numb, not because you don't feel, but because you've decided it's not worth it. The cost of your peace is too high for petty. The price of your purpose is too valuable for pettiness. You've got dreams to pursue, a calling to answer, generational curses to break. You don't have time to be explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You don't have time to be constantly defending your worth to people who are blind to your value. When you act like nothing bothers you, you start showing heaven that you're ready for more. You start demonstrating that you're not just chasing blessings, you're ready to steward them. Because God's not going to give you the next level if you're still throwing fits at the current one. He's not going to elevate you if you can't handle elevation's enemies. With every level, there's a new kind of warfare, a new kind of pressure. But there's also a new kind of grace, a new kind of strength, a new kind of you. Let them talk, let them doubt, let them misunderstand, let the delays come, let the doors close, let the friendships shift. Because while all that is happening, you're gonna keep walking. You're gonna keep sowing. You're gonna keep building. You're gonna keep becoming. And every time life tries to rattle you, you're gonna say, nope, not today. I got peace that don't make sense. I got joy that ain't based on circumstances. I got strength you didn't give me, so you can't take it away. It's not that you don't care. It's that you've learned what's worthy of your care. It's not that it didn't hurt. It's that you've chosen healing over bitterness. It's not that you didn't notice. It's that you've chosen to rise instead of react. Let the world wonder how you're still glowing. Let them question how you're still walking with dignity. Let them whisper about your strength. That's the proof that you've grown. That's the fruit of your secret place. That's the evidence of grace keeping you when chaos tries to catch you slipping. You've got everything you need to face what's ahead. And the moment you stop giving energy to what doesn't matter, the moment you stop clapping back, the moment you stop shrinking to prove your worth, that's the moment you become unstoppable. You are too anointed to be anxious, too chosen to be chasing validation, too called to be consumed by conflict. Don't just act like nothing bothers you. Know that nothing has the authority to, because you're not walking alone. You're covered. You're equipped, and you're already winning. There comes a point in your journey where you have to understand that not every action deserves a reaction. Not every insult needs a clapback. Not every storm requires you to run and seek shelter. Some storms you just learn to walk through with grace, and that's the difference between emotional immaturity and spiritual strength. It's not that the wind doesn't blow, it's that you've learned how to stand anyway. You've learned that your response is where your power truly lies. That's the kind of wisdom that doesn't just happen overnight. It's forged in fire. It's shaped in seasons of being misunderstood, overlooked, underestimated, and even betrayed. But you come out of it knowing that everything doesn't need your energy. Mastering your response is choosing peace over performance. It's deciding that your destiny is too important to be delayed by distractions. See, the enemy doesn't always attack with big things. Sometimes it's subtle, a snide comment, a sideways glance, a text that feels like a jab. And if you're not grounded, you'll keep taking the bait over and over again, thinking you're defending yourself, when really you're just being pulled out of position. You're too busy reacting to people, and you stop progressing toward purpose. But when you master your response, you're no longer ruled by emotion. That doesn't mean you don't feel. It means your feelings don't lead. You don't let frustration drive your decisions. You don't let anger have the mic in your conversations. You don't let disappointment narrate your day. You pause, you breathe, you pray, and then you proceed from a place of clarity and power instead of chaos. Some people think silence is weakness, but silence can be strategy. Choosing not to react is not cowardice. It's confidence. It's saying, I know who I am. I know what I'm called to. I'm not going to shrink down to the level of dysfunction just to prove a point. You start to realize you don't have to win every argument to be right. You don't have to explain your every move to be understood. You don't have to match energy when you know your energy is sacred. The enemy wants you triggered, wants you tired, wants you tangled up in nonsense that has nothing to do with your assignment. But when you master your response, you close the door on unnecessary warfare. You stop letting every little thing disturb your spirit. You stop allowing people's projections to become your reality. You understand that how you respond speaks louder about you than anything they said about you. And yes, it takes discipline, because sometimes the old you wants to rise, the version of you that used to pop off, the version of you that knew exactly what to say to cut deep, but that version had to die so this new you could rise. The healed you, the focused you, the anointed you, the I don't have time for that you, and now you know that maturity looks like being able to sit in situations that once provoked you and feel absolutely nothing but peace. People will try to test you just to get a reaction out of you, because your reaction feeds their brokenness. But you're done feeding dysfunction. You're done fueling foolishness. You're done letting offense rob you of joy. There's too much purpose on your life for you to keep showing up to every fight you were never called to. So when life comes with the heat, when people press your buttons, when everything in you wants to clap back, don't. Pause. Choose presence over panic. Choose grace over grit. Choose wisdom over impulse. You are not who you used to be, and when you master your response, you prove it without saying a word. There is a power that comes with protecting your peace that cannot be overstated. It's not always loud. It doesn't always come with applause. Sometimes it looks like you walking away from an argument you know you could win. Sometimes it's you choosing silence when everything in you wants to speak. Sometimes it's turning your phone face down and refusing to let the chaos on the other side of the screen enter your spirit. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. That's strength. That's growth. Spiritual maturity shows up in how well you protect your inner world when the outer world is in chaos. Anybody can be calm when life is kind. Anybody can smile when everything's going right. But when life flips the script, when you get hit with the unexpected, when people switch up on you, when the pressure builds and nothing makes sense, how you protect your peace in those moments reveals the depth of your maturity. You don't get to spiritual maturity without some hard lessons, without some breaking, without some moments that nearly took you out. But what it teaches you is this: not everything deserves access to you. Not every voice deserves to be heard. Not every opportunity is aligned with your purpose. Protecting your peace is not about building walls to keep people out. It's about building discernment to let only the right things in. There's a reason Jesus often withdrew. Even the Son of God knew the value of rest, of solitude, of protecting his spirit. If Jesus needed quiet places, why do we think we can survive without them? Why do we keep pouring out until we're empty, giving everyone pieces of us while we starve in our own soul? There's nothing holy about burnout. There's nothing noble about being so available to others that you become unavailable to yourself and God. Spiritual maturity teaches you how to retreat without guilt, to say no without needing to explain, to understand that peace is not just a feeling. It's a spiritual weapon, because when you protect your peace, you protect your clarity. And when you have clarity, you make decisions from vision instead of from pain, from calling instead of from pressure. There are people who thrive in drama. They feed off dysfunction, and if you're not careful, you'll be dragged into cycles that don't belong to you. But protecting your peace means being okay with disappointing people who were never meant to carry your purpose anyway. It means choosing boundaries over approval. It means saying, I love you, but I won't be joining you in that chaos today. And yes, it gets lonely sometimes. Because the path to peace isn't crowded, but it's worth it. You start to hear God more clearly. You start to feel your own soul come alive again. You remember who you are when the noise dies down, and from that place you start to move differently. You stop reacting. You stop chasing. You stop performing. You start being. You don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. You don't have to absorb every mood in the room. You don't have to fix everything for everyone. Your job is to guard the garden of your soul, tend to it, keep it, protect it like the sacred space it is, because from that place everything flows. Your joy, your creativity, your strength, your vision. And when you protect your peace, you protect the flow. Not everyone will understand it. They'll call you distant. They'll say you've changed, but that's fine. Let them talk, because you've grown. You've matured. You've chosen peace. And in doing so, you've chosen power. There comes a point in your journey when you realize that not everything or everyone deserves your energy. Not every comment needs to be corrected. Not every misunderstanding needs to be explained. Not every moment requires your presence or participation. And while it might feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you're used to proving yourself, defending your name, or trying to be understood, it's actually one of the most freeing lessons you'll ever learn. You were not created to carry every burden, fix every problem, or respond to every voice. Some voices are just noise. Some conversations are distractions dressed as purpose. Some relationships are assignments you were never meant to pick up. And when you try to give your energy to everything, you dilute your power. You spread yourself so thin trying to be everywhere for everyone that you're nowhere for yourself. Discernment is the key. Because when you start to grow, when you start to heal, when you start to value your time and your peace, you begin to understand that your energy is sacred, and that means you have to be selective, not guarded out of fear, but intentional out of wisdom. Because your energy fuels your purpose, and if you keep pouring it into situations that are beneath your calling, you'll stay stuck in cycles that were never meant for you. People will pull at you. They'll want your reaction. They'll want your agreement. They'll want your explanation, but you owe no one a performance. You don't have to prove your worth to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You don't have to keep reintroducing yourself to people who refuse to see you. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing at all. Let your growth speak. Let your fruit speak. Let your peace speak. Not everything deserves a response because not everything is a reflection of you. Some of it is a projection of their own pain, insecurity, or fear. And if you're not careful, you'll internalize what has nothing to do with you. You'll start wearing burdens that were never yours. You'll start shrinking to make others comfortable, bending to fit in spaces you've outgrown. You've got to rise above it, not with pride, but with purpose. You're not better than anyone, but you're becoming better for yourself. And that requires boundaries. That requires wisdom. That requires the courage to walk away from the unnecessary, the draining, the dysfunctional. Because you can't go where you're called if you're constantly tied to what no longer serves your soul. There will be moments when silence is your protection, when stepping back is your obedience, when not responding is your growth. And that doesn't make you passive, it makes you powerful. Because real power doesn't chase. Real power doesn't argue. Real power doesn't beg to be seen or validated. Real power knows when to speak and when to stay still. It knows where its energy belongs and where it doesn't. Your calling is too costly for casual energy exchanges. You can't afford to keep investing in situations that rob you of your clarity. You can't afford to keep giving explanations to people who don't value your voice. You can't afford to keep watering soil that refuses to grow anything in return. So protect your energy like it's gold, because it is. Protect your focus like it's sacred, because it is, not out of ego, but out of alignment. Not because you're better, but because you've finally realized what's worth your time, and what simply isn't. There is a weight that comes with elevation, a pressure that demands more than just talent or charisma. It demands discipline. And not just the kind of discipline that wakes you up early or keeps you grinding through your goals. No, the kind of discipline that elevates you is emotional. It's the ability to sit with your feelings but not be ruled by them. To feel offense but choose not to respond from it. To be hurt but not become hardened, because the higher you go, the more emotional maturity you'll need to carry what's been placed on your life. There are levels of purpose that you simply can't access until you learn to master what's going on inside of you. It's not just about being gifted, it's about being grounded, because elevation will expose every unhealed place, every unchecked emotion, every wound you tried to cover with success. And if you don't learn how to discipline your emotions, your breakthrough will become a burden. People often pray for more influence, more opportunities, more visibility, but don't realize that more comes with more pressure, more opinions, more moments where your character will be tested. Elevation doesn't protect you from problems. It just amplifies what's already in you. That's why emotional discipline is necessary. It's not optional, it's survival. Because the moment you start moving higher, there will be attacks designed to trigger you, to pull you back into old patterns, to make you react in ways that sabotage your progress. You've got to learn how to be still when everything inside you wants to explode, how to speak life when your feelings want to curse what's frustrating you, how to wait on God's timing when your emotions are screaming to take control. That's what sets apart those who rise and stay from those who rise and fall. Not their skills, but they're self-control, and let's be honest, it's not easy. It's hard to pause when your pride is poked. It's hard to respond with grace when disrespect shows up. It's hard to keep walking in purpose when disappointment keeps knocking at your door. But elevation requires a new emotional rhythm. You can't keep reacting the way you used to and expect to sustain new levels. You can't carry new glory with old behavior. There will be times when everything in you wants to prove a point, make them understand, let them feel your pain. But elevation says you don't have to go there anymore. It says your silence is stronger than your rebuttal. It says your purpose is too important to pause for petty. And that's where your power begins to multiply, not in reacting, but in choosing restraint. Emotional discipline is choosing to forgive even when they don't apologize. It's choosing to bless those who curse you. It's choosing to keep your eyes on your assignment while everything around you tries to pull you into a fence. That kind of strength doesn't come overnight. It's built in quiet moments of surrender, in prayer, in choosing again and again to be better instead of bitter. And every time you do, every time you take control of your response, you step into a greater version of who you're called to be. You begin to carry peace like a mantle. You begin to walk with confidence that doesn't have to be loud. You begin to respond with wisdom that confuses the enemy. Because the most dangerous version of you is not the one who reacts quickly, but the one who responds slowly, with clarity, with discernment, with purpose. So if you're praying for elevation, prepare your emotions. Let God refine them, shape them, strengthen them, because when the spotlight hits, it won't be your image that sustains you. It will be your integrity. It will be your discipline. It will be the quiet decision you made behind the scenes to not let your emotions lead you where your purpose was never meant to go. Grace is not weakness. It is divine strength wrapped in softness. It is the gentle power that allows you to move forward even when the road behind you is littered with hurt, disappointment, betrayal, and delay. Grace lets you keep walking with your head high, not because you have all the answers, but because you've made peace with the fact that you don't need to understand everything to keep going. You just need to trust that what's ahead of you is greater than what's behind you. There's something sacred about a person who knows they've been through hell but doesn't let it change their posture. Someone who's seen the worst of life but still chooses kindness, that's grace. That's not naivety, that's courage. It takes strength to keep your heart soft in a world that tries to harden you. It takes boldness to keep moving when everything in you wants to stay stuck in the past. Grace is the oil that keeps your spirit from rusting in resentment. It doesn't mean you didn't feel the pain. It means the pain didn't finish you. Moving forward without being shaken doesn't come from pretending nothing happened. It comes from learning how to let what happened shape you but not shatter you. It means you acknowledge the wound, but you don't wear it like an identity. You cry when you need to. You break when you must. But then you get back up. Not in your own strength, but by the grace that carries you when your feet can't. There are things you survived that would have broken others, moments that could have changed you for the worse, turned your heart cold, made you bitter, but grace stepped in. Grace whispered, "You're still chosen." Grace said, "You're still worthy." Grace covered you when guilt tried to shame you, when regret tried to define you, when fear tried to paralyze you. And every time you chose to rise instead of stay buried, grace was right there lifting you up. You don't have to fight every battle. You don't have to prove yourself to everyone who misjudged you. Sometimes grace is the response. Sometimes grace is the exit. Sometimes grace is knowing when to release what's not yours to carry. And when you walk in grace, you stop chasing closure from people who could never give it. You stop needing validation from environments you've outgrown. You stop replaying the moment that broke you and start trusting the God who's healing you. You begin to move differently, not because life is easier, but because you're stronger, because grace has matured you, because what used to shake you no longer has the same access to you. You've learned how to find peace in the middle of the unknown, how to smile even when you don't have the full picture, How to trust that even when the ground beneath you feels unstable, you are still being held. Grace gives you the courage to forgive, even when the apology never comes. It empowers you to walk away from chaos, not because you're weak, but because you're wise. It teaches you that peace is not found in controlling everything. It's found in surrendering everything, and when you surrender, you gain clarity. You start to recognize what matters and what doesn't. You stop trying to fix what was only meant to teach you. You start walking in alignment instead of attachment. The power of grace is that it makes room for you to be human, to make mistakes, to grow slowly, to heal gradually, and still be loved, still be called, still be enough. So you walk forward, not because it's easy, but because you refuse to be defined by what tried to break you. Grace has taught you that you don't have to be loud to be strong, you don't have to have it all together to be used, and you don't have to be unshaken to be unstoppable. You just have to keep moving, with grace as your anchor and purpose as your guide. Sometimes the most powerful version of you is the one who learns how to be unbothered, not because you don't feel, but because you've finally decided to stop giving everything access to your peace. You're not cold, you're just clear. You're not distant, you're just discerning, and that clarity doesn't happen overnight. It's cultivated, it's chosen, it's built moment by moment, decision by decision, as you realize that keeping your heart guarded isn't about building walls, it's about knowing what's worth letting in. Life will always present you with opportunities to lose your peace. People will say the wrong things, situations will press the wrong buttons, unexpected problems will show up right when you thought things were finally steady. And in those moments, you have to decide, will I let this shake me? Will I allow this to steal my joy, distract my focus, and drain my energy? Or will I remember who I am, whose I am, and what I've been called to do? Learning to act as if nothing bothers you isn't about ignoring your emotions. It's about not allowing those emotions to control your decisions. It's about responding with wisdom instead of reacting out of woundedness. It's the shift from trying to control everything around you to managing what's within you. Because the truth is, peace is an inside job, and once you realize that, you stop outsourcing your joy to people who don't know how to handle your heart. You begin to take back your power when you stop letting situations narrate your worth, when you stop explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you, when you stop losing sleep over opinions that carry no weight in heaven. That's not pride, that's maturity. That's choosing presence over performance. That's realizing that the same energy you use to argue, explain, and overthink could be used to build, grow, and heal. Some people think being unbothered means you're unaffected. But the truth is, you've just learned to process privately what you used to broadcast publicly. You've learned that everything doesn't need a post, a response, or a reaction. Some things just need prayer. Some things need silence. Some things need you to let God handle it, because if you fight every little battle, you'll never have the energy for the war that matters. And when you begin walking in that posture, when you truly carry yourself like nothing bothers you, become dangerous to the enemy. Because you're no longer reactive, you're no longer triggered by the petty, you're no longer wasting time trying to prove what God already said about you. You're focused, you're intentional, you're moving in alignment. And peace becomes your weapon.